Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. And Mr. Positive, aka Erik Ten Hag, has fired back at some of the media reports over his job security. Get involved in today's chat, Reds, because we will discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. First of all, what did you take from that press conference from Erik Ten Hag?
What an explosive start to a press conference for a long time. It was wild. Erik Ten Hag did not hold back. I tell you what, I jumped out of my seat, stood up, and couldn't believe what Erik Ten Hag was doing. He went straight at the media. He was told that I have no need to seek assurances about my position, he said. I told you before the break, and you did not believe me. You've all told lies. The journalists have told lies. He was talking about the media. He went full blast, full nuclear on them.
He did, and this is a quote from Erik Ten Hag on the noise surrounding his job. He said, "The noise is only coming from some of you media, creating stories and fairy tales, bringing the lies. Some of you journalists didn't believe me, and I saw some of the reports. Of course I did. We are unhappy with the position we are currently in. Ultimately, we are quiet and composed. We stick to the plan, and we are very convinced it will be a success."
Well, listen, I've listened to Erik Ten Hag. Sometimes, you know, when he's talking about tactics and that, and we all say it, we're baffled by what goes on. But when he's talking about being assured by the club, many times he's talked about, we talk every day. I know what's going on. They believe in me. They've come out the club and said they believe in him and all that. And there's a plan going forward. But the media, he just told them, you've been telling lies. You don't believe what this club and I are saying. And I are absolutely right behind him on it. I'm so glad that we listen to Erik Ten Hag when he talks about the club, okay? Some of the things I do get baffled by. But I'll tell you what, some journalists and media outlets out there are hanging their head in shame. They've just been exposed as far as I'm concerned. They're being called liars. How they react to this, I can only see one way. They are going to pile in more and more on Erik Ten Hag, but he's confident going forward. He's not daft. He knows he has to get results. Every manager has to get results.
Yeah.
14th place doesn't lie. It's not good. He wants it to turn around, and he knows there's a problem with scoring goals.
I can't see any of the media putting their hands up and saying, Erik, it was us that was telling the lies."
Well, listen,
you know, like a local newspaper.
No, I tell you what, there were some heads. There were some heads looking on the floor there. He was directing it at a few in there, and also the wider audience out there. And like I say, it's not just the written words what the journalists do. It's those in the media, on the TV, and everything else like that. They have just spun lie after lie, and he went straight at them. And I'm glad. To be honest with you, if I had been a journalist or written a story, what Erik Ten Hag told me and didn't believe it and wrote something else, if it was me on here, I wouldn't be here right now. I would be off. I would be embarrassed. And I also look at these journalists and think to myself, you need to look round. It's you what might be losing your job for spreading lies, because that's exactly what it is. They are undermining. They've got their own personal agendas, and they are undermining Erik Ten Hag's work, the club, Manchester United fans, and everything. They can't resist it. Now, some of them, it might cost them the job.
I did say a couple of weeks ago doing a video with you, I wasn't happy with the way Erik Ten Hag was actually responding, though, to some media reports and opinions out there from Alan Shearer, which some of you did think there was merit to it, which I did as well, concerning Marcus Rashford. You also had the likes of Jamie Redknapp come out, and he was personally coming out and going back at them. But this feels a little bit different, this one, and he looked a lot more composed than I've seen him. So maybe the international break has done him a world of good.
No, this felt different. Like I say, it was like a nuclear reaction. I jumped up. He went at him full throttle. There was no holding back. I've seen Sir Alex Ferguson, some of his press conferences and he goes at it. But Erik Ten Hag laid it on the line here today. Yeah. So let's hope there's a change in attitude and a change in reporting. Now, I might be like whistling in the wind when that comes to the press, but you have to look forward now and sort of say to yourself, Erik Ten Hag is in command. He's not going anywhere, but he is clear. Results do need to change. Like every manager, your job relies on it.
No, of course. like I say, I did like a lot of what he said, firing back at the media, but he did mention fairy tales, and it's no fairy tale league position that we're currently in. It might be for other supporters from other clubs out there looking at Manchester United right now, but as a supporter for Man United, it's not good enough lying in 14th.
No, it's not good enough. But he acknowledged that, and you've got to give, you've got to give him that. In between his rant with the media, you've got to give him that. No, he knows, but he's confident. I listened to him, and he's confident he's going to turn it around. But he also did explain it's not just him. There's other people there involved. They're all working hard together. The players understand it. I've listened to a few comments lately. The dressing room seems all to be together. They all understand the problems, and the results just haven't gone the way. And scoring is the problem. The defence at one point was doing well. Injuries sort of jumped in, but they're going to come back. These injuries are going to come back. And he did talk about injuries, players coming back. So going forward, I think Erik Ten Hag's confident with what's around him. And obviously for him to come out like he did, he was fully prepared. And I think the club spoke with Erik and they were all ready for Erik to go at it. So I think he's got the full confidence. Erik says he's got the confidence.
I know, but
he's still in the job, and I think the club are backing him.
Yeah, do you think maybe you've got the likes of Barada, maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe, other suits at board level, Dan Ashworth, all sat there listening to that press conference thinking, I'm not too sure, Erik. I don't think it's that calm inside Manchester United. You need to go and get results.
No,
because he does talk about a plan, a strategy, but I've got to be honest, I'm hearing that too much these days, way too much. Obviously, we're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes, what they're building with the strategy, etc. But, on the pitch, let's have it right. A lot looks like it's not changed. No,
it doesn't look as though it's changed. And as fans, we want everything here and now, but we've got to understand that there is big change going on. There is sort of chaos behind the scenes. Big changes are happening, not just on the field, behind the scenes in the under-18s and everything else like that, right throughout the club. So it's going to take time, but there's a confidence there from Erik Ten Hag, and he sort of like talks about the confidence about Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth and everything. Everyone's working together, and that they all understand what's needed, and they also understand what work has to be done, and the expectations are for United to finish in that top four. That's the expectations, and Erik Ten Hag, I think, will stand or fall on these results over the next few months. And obviously if it deteriorates and there is no clear sign of getting a top four, I think he understands that, because the expectations of the club is a top four, and that's what he's got to achieve. If you go back years, Glazer always said to Sir Alex, finish in the top four and you're all right, nothing else matters. Well, top four is it's a must. It's where the money is. To get these players what we want to buy, the top class players, then we've got to be where the money is. So I think the expectations is under no illusion, Ten Hag.
Yeah, Philip Kerry in the chat, he's coming out fighting as well. He said when the club said they'll get the title by 2028, they meant with Erik Ten Hag. The journalists are just too stupid to get that. But results will dictate how long Erik Ten Hag is here, surely though.
Yeah, results dictate how long any manager is here. And you've got to see progress. You've got to see, what's going on. There's a new team, a new development, a new style of play. That's what Ineos said. That's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said they want. We want a style of play. Well, and we're working with Erik Ten Hag. Well, we've got to see that. And to see that, we've got to get the results. So working with Erik Ten Hag, they want to achieve it with Erik Ten Hag. I'm not too sure about Erik Ten Hag being here in 2028, because if the results don't go the right way, he might not be here at the end of the season. But Erik Ten Hag's under no illusion. Just like us fans, we're under no illusion.
Yeah, the chat's popping. I'll keep getting your opinions in. We'll try and discuss them throughout today's video. Ray Chase, for Super Chat, he says, this is a battle cry from Erik Ten Hag now. Now the players need to back the manager's words up and the team. Erik Ten Hag fighting for us. We should be fighting for him and Manchester United.
Well, we always back our manager. We back our manager, and until he goes, and same with any player, we back him. And it was like a war cry. It was an attack, and it was an attack to let us fans know, right? Do not believe what's being said. When I say something, I'm saying it as gospel. These media, these other journalists and all that, and people out there, right, they are just there attacking the club. And I've always said it, many other United fans are saying it, right? You have to stick together here and fight back. Well, you've just clearly seen Erik Ten Hag today fighting back, full hit on them all.
Poligati in the chat says, can we attract the big players? Can the club now attract the big players? The United currency seems to cheapen with every game. I get what he means in terms of results, performances on the pitch.
Now, United will always attract decent players, top players. The problem is, can we get these top players? Because there's no money. Can we get them? I don't think we can. Not at the moment. It's a steady progress. That's what you want to see. And I go back to...
I don't actually think Manchester United want to go out there and get the big name players. I don't think there's an actual need to, is there? Why can't we just develop our own instead of, like I think it was Ratcliffe who said back in February time, that going out getting Mbappe wouldn't solve the problems here at Manchester United now, because it seems a lot bigger that's going on in the background, what they need to be sorting first.
That's right, Sir Jim. You know, saying it won't solve the problem by getting the star player. So they're buying young players, and that's what they're doing. And people have to understand that buying a top-class player at this moment probably ruin him, to be perfectly honest with you, with what's going on inside the club. But that will come. And it will come at the appropriate time. But the appropriate time isn't now. Just like when people talk about Erik Ten Hag, sacking Erik Ten Hag and bringing in, if you brought in the top-class manager around the world, whoever he is, if you brought him in, he'd just be walking into chaos. You'd probably ruin that manager. Many a manager here has been ruined. We know that because things haven't been right under the previous regime. And this regime, what's here now, has to have time to turn it around. That's what I've always said. I just hope that the results get better and that we do progress. But I am prepared to wait for that time. And they have told you, Omar Barada has told you, 2028. So everyone seems to be on the same page, except the people who were out there in the media spouting something different.
He did single out Christian Eriksen for praise about his calmness and his creativity in midfield, and about when he was forming a partnership with Kobbie Mainoo. Now, there was updates as well on Kobbie Mainoo from the manager, and I think on the website last night with Harry Maguire, that they're going to be out for a few weeks. Yeah,
well, you know, if you look at Christian Eriksen forming a partnership, you can't criticise him, and I hold my hands up to him. He's done well, and he's done well in a bad side at the moment. Working with Kobbie Mainoo, the times he's been out there, has been good. But then you just look at Kobbie Mainoo, another injury confirmed last night on the United website. That's disappointing, but it's not unexpected. Not unexpected. The kid's played too many games. So going forward, you just look to yourself, especially with the game, players are coming back. Really, unexpectedly, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Rich in the chat. Refreshing to see a logical channel, not one of the other channels with clickbait and speculation nonsense. Top show, guys. Much appreciated for the kind words, mate. And every single one of yous out there who continue to get involved and support the channel.
Well, just on that point there, everyone has their own way of doing whatever they're doing, and I'm not here to criticise them.
Yeah, we just crack on doing what we do and the way we think, but that doesn't mean we're right with our opinions. It's all about getting you involved as well and giving everyone a voice and opinion. Luke Shaw, Malacia. Where are we up to with these two? Are we going to see him before Christmas? Who's going to come back first?
Well, I was also saying I was a bit perturbed at the way Erik Ten Hag was talking about Malacia and Luke Shaw. Steady progress, but there was no firm date. We have to sort of we have to tread carefully, and that's how it came across. Big worries here. Luke Shaw, not played since February for Man United. Played a little bit of time in the Euros. Should never have gone there. We all know that. But this Luke Shaw, this is getting really, really serious. There was no timescale put on his comeback. And he's been out there. And Malacia as well. I can understand the Malacia. But for Luke Shaw, I think time might be up on Luke Shaw. They are not prepared in any way to rush him and get him back on the field because they know what's coming. Now, is that Luke Shaw being Luke Shaw, or is that a serious, serious problem? No update on it, and unfortunately, the way United are with injuries, they don't seem to come out, and it's a pity, really, that we don't get a regular update from the club week on week about players' injuries and that. So when it come up today about Luke Shaw, it was very interesting to sort of say there was no details. So that's a big worry going forward.
Yeah, and I said to you, was it a couple of weeks ago, about Malacia? If he doesn't have like a breakdown of the actual injury he's suffered, what's kept him out, I actually do believe he'll play more games for Man United this season than Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw seems to get injured every other week, where he'll be in for 4 weeks, then he's out for a number of weeks as well. Whereas Malacia, if he doesn't have any, like I say, a recurrence of that injury, he could keep going. It could be a solid left back for us this season, and one that we actually need as well to give us that balance on the left.
Yeah, with Malacia and Shaw, there's a difference here, I think. With Shaw, they haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue what to do with him, when he's coming back or anything like that. Now, when I go on about Malacia, I did say Malacia will come back. The club said he'll come back training, hopefully by October. And we said, I don't think we'll see him this side of Christmas. And I don't think we will. I think United are quite prepared to wait. They've got a time scale for him. So they're clear on Malacia's progress and what they have to do with him. And I don't think anybody in the club has got a clear idea of what's going on with Luke Shaw or what they're going to do with him. Very, very worrying.
Another player though, Mason Mount. What's going on with him?
I just don't know what's going on.
He was out with a scratch. From what I've read, I've not seen any other reports, shall I say, that he's out with another injury or anything, and it was that scratch what he come off with against Tottenham, or at the end of the game, shall I say. Well,
Mason Mount, I was baffled after the Tottenham game. He come off and made a big song and dance about a scratch on his head. Next thing you know, he's been out for 3 weeks with an injury. So he never mentioned that. He seemed to be worried about a scratch on his head. Now, this Mason Mount, as it keeps going on, it's dragging on this. This is a major worry. And I have said it. I don't believe Mason Mount is going to be able to play for Manchester United. I think he's got serious problems, and people are underplaying what's going on. For him to come off against Tottenham with another injury, it's baffling. I think there's serious problems. A lot of questions got to be asked about the medical staff, about how we got through the medical and everything else like that, because this kid is just not playing football, and I don't think he's going to play football long term here at Manchester United.
Yeah, we discussed it, didn't we, the other day, that it could possibly reflect Donny van der Beek's career at Manchester United. Yeah. Other midfielders like Jemba, etc. Owen Hargreaves as well, he was a top defensive midfielder, but he just couldn't get him on the pitch.
No, we can't seem to get him on the pitch here, Mason. Well, we get him on the pitch.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you think he's also, don't get me wrong, it's us looking from the outside in here, but do you get that feeling that he's really got that motivation to play for United when he has suffered like an injury or like a little knock, where he wants to then go out on the pitch, even if he's not fully fit, to play for the club?
No, I think what you've got to look at there, Mason Mount wants to play for Manchester United. He doesn't want to be hobbling around. He wants his problems solved. Any footballer who leaves a club, comes to Manchester United, you're playing for Manchester United. You want to play and you want to prove that you are the player, what Erik Ten Hag believed in, £65 million. He wants to prove himself. So I don't believe in anything what people have said about Mason Mount. I think he's really dedicated to playing football. He's come back, but he keeps breaking down. That's not his fault. Maybe he needs longer. But the thing is, we've not seen anything of him. He's been here now 18 months. Absolutely.
I tell you what.
It's what they call a terrible show.
Someone who we didn't expect to see in the squad tomorrow, and that's the right back, Mazraoui.
Unbelievable. Absolutely.
I was actually shocked at that.
Yeah.
Considering the reports that we've heard over the last couple of weeks.
Well, when he went off Aston Villa, and then it came out the illness, and it was to do with his heart, irregular heartbeat or something. Maybe it wasn't an operation. He was going to have some treatment, and it looks as though he was going to be out for a while. And then you look at the diagnosis and you think to yourself, well, this could get worse, you just don't know, and then he's suddenly back.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic news for him, but fantastic news for Man United. He's come back at the right time. There doesn't seem to be a bit of chaos or a bit of worry about the back four going out there tomorrow. So whoever he picks, it'll be a strong back four. But for Mazraoui to come back, great news, and it's great news what we need. And if you go further forward with players coming back, what were injured, Ahmad, Garnacho, good news, all good news. So I think looking at that Brentford game, I think a week ago, a lot of people were getting a little bit depressed, a little bit like, oh, I'm really worried about this game and all that. We've got injuries here and there. So there is good news on the horizon. So when you look at the game tomorrow, and when you look at the news on what players are coming back into the squad, you can't expect anything else but a win against Brentford. They are under.
If we don't get,
they're under strength.
If we don't get a win tomorrow, it's either going to come down to the motivation of the players, or it's going to come down to the tactics of the manager, or both. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we've got to watch the game to sort of like come out with what the problem is. But I do not expect anything else but a win. Brentford tomorrow. I think Ten Hag will be really confident, and I think the players will. You know, the dressing room. I think really. They're desperate to do well, and to get a win tomorrow will lift the gloom around Man United. And I think Erik Ten Hag, I think he's bouncing at this very moment in time. So if we get a win tomorrow, I can't wait to see his press conference.
Yeah, Ray, back in with a super chat. Cheers, my mate. He says, this is just my opinion, but Luke Shaw's sacrificed himself for England and not United and blew himself out when he should not have done what he did last summer.
I've got to go straight in on that. I agree with you. Luke Shaw, for me, I remember many, many years ago, some people out there might not remember, friendly game against Scotland. He was injured, but he went there injured, and he played knowing he was injured, and he admitted it. So that, for me, coincides with exactly what's gone on. And when I listen, and I did mention it, I think it was last week, about Wayne Rooney, when he talks about players sort of coming back from injury, sort of feigning injury just in time to play for the national sides. I look at Luke Shaw, good player. Talk with Webby all the time about Luke Shaw, good player, but there's big problems with him, attitude. He signed for Man United, right? 28, I think it was 28 million, and they had to send him away when he turned up for training because he was overweight. In other words, he just went straight out there, right on it, as a young lad, which was the wrong attitude from the very beginning. So I've always had doubts about not just his commitment, but his personality and the way he conducts himself in and around Manchester United. Sometimes I like his interviews, sometimes I don't. At one point, I thought Luke Shaw was the spokesman for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at one point. But yeah. You look at Luke Shaw and you say to yourself, personality-wise, his commitment, where's it really lie? Man United or England? And I have to turn around and say, England.
One person we did discuss yesterday, and that was Agata. I didn't actually hear anything on his press conference, any updates from him, because he'd come off on international duty, which looked like an injury. But if he is fully fit tomorrow, will we get to see him start?
No.
Should he start?
He wasn't with the train. He wasn't back fully training. But what he was given like a rub down and everything else from his exertions over there playing for Uruguay. I think he'll be in the squad. I honestly don't think he'll be on the pitch. I think he'll be on the bench. That's how I see it, which is another mystery. But that mystery will soon be solved.
Just like to thank everyone for joining us today. Been popping off in the chat. A lot of positivity, to be fair, in the chat. Loads of different opinions as well, is what we want to see.
Go on.
We will be back tomorrow straight after the game with 2 match reactions with my dad, Tony, and also Webby. So make sure you got that notification on Reds to come and see us and listen to what the lads have got to say. Thanks for joining us, and smash that like button, and you take care.
Come on.